Welcome to New Life Live, the premier place to receive free advice from Christian psychologists and counselors for the mental, emotional, relational, and spiritual challenges you face. Since 1988, we've offered compassionate responses that combine God's truth with proven psychological principles to guide you toward healing. Our phone lines are open. Call us now at 1-800-229-3000.
Welcome to New Life Live. Glad that you're with us today. Myself, Chris Williams, marriage and family therapist. I have another marriage and family therapist, Marc Cameron.
Hello.
How you doing today, man?
I'm doing really well.
Fresh off of a trip to New York?
Yes. Felt really good. It was good to go. I hadn't been in a while.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah. And psychologist, Dr. Jill Hubbard.
Hello, guys.
How you doing, Jill?
Good. Good to be with you again.
I want some more Jill wisdom today.
Well,
what do you have for us?
Let's see what I can come up with for you, Chris. Okay, well, we have been talking a lot more recently about the topic of estrangement. And even the last time we were together, we were talking about it. So I wanted to continue the conversation because while currently, I think there are these trends that we are seeing, more people talking about it, more people using the word estrangement. And we're seeing it in the Gen Z crowd, where kids are cutting off from parents, and often it's the result of divorce issues or a new spouse issues. And yet, I think it's been with us for a really long time. Yeah. We just didn't call it estrangement. We would say, oh, I have this family member that doesn't talk to anyone anymore.
Yes. Yeah.
Or I'm not talking to my sibling. Yeah. We're mad at each other. Or so, and I remember way back, like my grandmother saying that she didn't talk to some of her siblings. And I thought that was so strange. Why wouldn't you talk to them?
Yeah.
Right? They're your sisters. And so there are trends, and there are trends in families, and yet it's, however you slice it, it's very painful. We had some news this week that 2 family members had passed away. And these are 2 family members that had been estranged from almost everybody. Yeah. They had systematically cut people out over time. And this went on for decades. And how sad. How sad in the end to die with no one, with no family, and questions unanswered. And, in this situation, there was alcoholism and mental illness. Yeah. And that often is the situation. And people get into situations when somebody cuts off, they are overwhelmed by their feelings. They have difficulty leaning into relationship. They are probably horrible at conflict resolution. Yeah. And so often we attribute to others, the theory of attribution is that we attribute to others malicious intent while we look at our own motives and motivations and justifications as noble intent. Yeah. And so it's easy, the longer there is separation, to villainize the other. And I know sometimes we find ourselves in situations where you don't have access. Like these family members were actually missing persons for a while. Wow. So obviously you don't have access to try to mend. But I think it's so important to, wherever possible, what are the ways, even if it seems impossible, to try to lean in and invite. All we can do is invite people into relationship, but you always want to do everything you can.
Yeah, there are countless reasons for the ways in which we may be divided against each other. Sure. Right? We're coming off of an election.
Well, and I think we do not want political estrangement.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. People first over politics and policies.
I love that. People first. And I think an aspect of that is learning how to have boundaries around conversations, learning how to engage in conversations. There are so many resources here at New Life that are available. Go to our library. We go to our video library, but go to our book library and get online today at newlife.com and look at the resources that we can enter into healthy relationship. It is actually the #1 factor for longevity and satisfaction. And that's coming out of a Harvard study. That's not coming out of the Bible, but we know out of the Bible that God has created us for deep, healthy, meaningful relationship. And with that, we're going to be back right after this.
I had been in porn addiction. My past had not been found out at all, yet I had hit a point in my life where it was time.
Men are barraged with inappropriate content and images all day, every day. It's a battleground for every man, and the opportunities to fail are everywhere. The Everyman's Battle Intensive can help.
I never divulged what I'd been doing.
Find help today at New Life's Everyman's Battle Intensive.
This is a place that changed my life in such a positive way for Christ, because I could be the Christian man that I'm called to be.
Now the intensive is coming to Dallas, Texas, December 6th through the 8th. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50.
I cannot say enough what it does in the Christian community for not just men, for their children, for their wives.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. We are so glad that you're with us today, and we're going to go straight to the phones. We're going to go to Jane in Omaha, Nebraska. First-time caller. Jane, how's it going today?
Oh, pretty good.
Good. So glad that you joined and called in today. Tell us what's going on.
I was, listening to your last show, and I think it was, her name was Sue, and she was talking about her marriage. Mine was very similar to what she's been going through. Unfortunately, we just finalized our divorce in September. So it's been over a year that we stopped our marriage and just said it wasn't going to work any longer. So my concern and my question is, I'm not interested in a relationship right now, but what happens? I don't believe that I trust myself in picking the right man, because, my husband was into porn, and, he had a lot of different women throughout our marriage, which I did not realize. I didn't know what gaslighting was until this past 2 years. So that's kind of what happened in our relationship. So I've come to terms with that. I understand I'm better off right now, and I'm happier, but I do have a concern for the future, especially with the high percentage of men and addiction to pornography. I'm not willing to get back into that again.
Yeah, for sure. So
Good. Well, I'm glad you're not willing. So, Jane, I think it's important, regardless of the reasons why a marriage has ended, that you have to do your own work. Even if he was 90% of the problem, you have that 10%. One, in the not understanding, like you've already been learning a lot. So I think it's important to lean in, to maybe get some therapy and to talk about this and talk about what attracted you to this person. What are maybe some issues from your past, from your childhood, that may have set you up for this type of relationship? Because the more aware you become, then the less likely you are to repeat the pattern. And using what you learned from this marriage, you'll know what to look for better in a relationship, what questions to ask. And I agree, a year out, you're not ready for another relationship. It's time for you to have a relationship with yourself, get as healthy as possible, and then have a good group of friends, supportive friends, girlfriends around you that can help you navigate moving forward should someone come along.
If you don't want to repeat the cycle, you've got to make sense of what your experience was. And like Jill was saying, is get into recovery. I would do that with a therapist. One thing to consider is, what is your part, as Jill was saying, because when we are in a cycle, we are participating in that cycle. It doesn't mean that we're responsible for the other person's behaviors, but we've got to look at, what kept me participating in this cycle. And typically it's patterns that we've learned from our childhoods. And so here's what I want to help you with in getting the right picker here, as often people refer to it as. It takes two emotionally secure people to have an emotionally healthy relationship. You can't take two emotionally insecure people, put them together, and expect to have a secure relationship. So if you learn how to do your own work and become an emotionally secure person here, Jane, then you'll have a better picker to look for somebody who's like you, who's emotionally secure like you, and you'll screen out other people. And then you don't have to be so fearful that it's more haphazard. I'll pick someone and then I'll get it wrong. Because as you become emotionally secure, you'll figure out what to look for and the right questions to ask.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, because one of the things that's so common and painful in this is a lost relationship with the self. Is that when our reality is questioned so deeply, so strongly with the person that we're supposed to be entrusted to, then it turns out to be wrong. And I always say this about betrayal trauma. One of the things that makes it so damaging is that because the betrayed person is being hurt all along and they don't even know it.
Right. It's how it messes with your reality.
Exactly.
Your sense of trusting, like you said, your own reality.
Yeah, so when it all comes to light, the whole world gets flipped upside down. And the first thing that we question is ourselves. How did I not see this? How did I put up with this? How did this happen? And we want a sense of control over it, not understanding that we never really did in the first place. But that doesn't really correct the damage that's been done to the self.
Well, and I think what's important to acknowledge about betrayal is that the damage in the relationship doesn't go wrong upon discovery.
Yes.
It went wrong as soon as there was secrets, as soon as there was betrayal. And that, for some people, happened 10 years prior, years prior. But it was broken at that point, even though you didn't realize it.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good to see. And so, Jane, we want to just encourage you, get into your own therapy with a therapist who specializes in betrayal trauma. We're also going to send you a copy of Intimate Deception, Healing the Wounds of Sexual Betrayal. Because, I mean, again, this thing has layers, it goes deep. But most importantly, I think to piggyback on what you were saying, Marc, is that when we're able to restore the relationship to ourself and be able to trust ourselves again and then grow in our wisdom, then we're able to ask the right questions. As you were saying, Jill, look for the right things.
But I would also encourage you, Jane, find somebody who's skilled in betrayal trauma, but also somebody who is knowledgeable in attachment theory to help you understand, because it's about how we learn to bond with each other. That's what's gone wrong here, is the attachment bond is insecure. And so it's learning, how do I form secure bonds with others, and then you don't have to be fearful of making the wrong choice.
Yes. And Jane, do you have other wise women in your life who are walking alongside of you as you go through this?
I do. I'm still in therapy. I got in therapy as soon as I found out, and I do have some great friends. So
good.
I will continue and keep that going.
Absolutely. That's good. And so, and I just want to address one other thing, is that trauma lays down what I call a trauma template. That is pretty indiscriminate. So if a man hurt me because of this, and this is a male issue, then all men are unsafe. And
That's what I feel like.
Okay, that is a protective mechanism in your trauma. Because there are safe men out there. They're not as common as we'd like them to be, for sure.
True.
It's like we'd like there to be a lot more of them, for sure. But I want to kind of push and lean into that defense mechanism, because that's one area where you could get stuck in and not be able to engage in healthy relationships.
And that's where time doing the work
Yes.
is important, not to jump back into relationship. I'm happy to hear that you have supportive people. And so in that, first with our friends,
Yes.
right? Our girlfriends and maybe their husbands, having appropriate relationship, but consistent, trustworthy relationships where people do what they say, say
Yes.
what they do.
Yeah.
Right? And so you start there, but knowing that when you do start to venture out in maybe dating, things will get stirred up. And that's why you need that support in place so that you can have those reality checks.
Well, and we don't want you to date in isolation, Jane.
No.
If you have those supportive relationships around you, you can check in with them to say, hey, what do you see in this other person? What do you see in me when I'm with this other person? And also take the pressure off when you're doing dating too. You don't have to jump right into the dating pool, you can just start to get to know people without the pressure of dating.
Friends.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
absolutely. That's so good. Jane, thank you so much for calling in today. We are cheering you on in your recovery process, and I'm also just pained by how often, how damaging and deep this infidelity
and how hard it
unfaithfulness.
is for the spouse that's unaware, because it's usually a person that isn't deceptive, that's actually quite trustworthy, and yet they've partnered with someone who has no intentions of being truly intimate.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's also why we have Every Man's Battle. And it is one of the places where men who are stuck in cycles of addiction, sexual addiction, or sexual acting out behavior that can't seem to get through it, get beyond it for whatever reason, which is an incredibly common experience. But it's getting to that other side. But as you were saying, Jill, it's where many men learn how to be close, learn how to be intimate, learn how to be in touch with themselves. Begin that journey, what you were talking about, Mark, of being emotionally healthy. We have our final 2024 Every Man's Battle coming up December 6th in Dallas. One of the attendees said this. It says, "It was a life-changing experience. I was called to reconnect in my relationship with God. I was also able to reconnect with myself and my wife for the first time in forever. It was a way to erase my shame and feel free to continue on in my recovery journey. This was a revolutionary victory against the enemy and generations of damage that he has done in my family." And I oftentimes say that in promoting Every Man's Battle, we use oftentimes this exaggerative language. But when you're there and you actually go through it and you see what happens, there is actually good language that reflects the profundity of its impact. It is absolutely incredible. So guys, if you are struggling in this area, do not end 2024 in the losing side of the battle. Go to newlife.com/events. You will see a registration for Every Man's Battle, again, coming up December 6th. It's in Dallas. And if you register by November 22nd, you get the early bird rate on that. So again, don't hesitate on that. You can go to newlife.com/EMB to register as well. So
yeah, that's good. And here's my encouragement to men too. Is that it's a wounding. We don't want to demonize men who are have a porn addiction. It's a wound underneath, and this is a false intimacy, and there's a concerted effort in our society to draw men into this addiction. And even if your wife doesn't know about it, I want you men out there who are doing this in secret to recognize that your marriage is damaged.
Yes.
Once there's secrets, the marriage is damaged, even if your spouse doesn't know about it. So do the right thing. And this is the best gift you can give to yourself and to your family, is getting free from this addiction.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for that, Mark. It's so true. We're going to go back to the phones. We're going to go to Carol, listening in Seattle, Washington on KGNW. Carol, how's it going today?
Pretty good.
Good. Well, tell us what's going on.
Well, my question is, how do I help my sister deal with the anxiety and panic attacks caused by the sale of her dream home?
Was it the home that she was living in?
Yes.
Okay.
Because of chronic pain issues, she's unable to function in the home.
Yeah.
Some of the chronic pain issues we think definitely have a mental health component. And now she's having major regrets. The closing date is November 20th.
Yeah.
And every time she goes to the home, she can't pack up. She wanders through the home and, makes comments like, "I shouldn't have done this. why did I do this? I could live here. This is my dream home. Nothing will be the same.
Yeah.
And she starts crying, etc.
And Carol, has she received any help, like from a therapist, a doctor, any assistance that she's...
When she was at the pain clinic, she was referred to a psychiatrist who told her to follow up with her counselor. She does have a counselor in the city where she lives.
Okay.
But she's not truthful with him.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really, really difficult situation. Carol, hear the music. We're going to head to a break here pretty soon. When we come back, we're going to help you help your sister, who just sounds like in a real season of significant and painful loss. And thank you again for calling in. We're going to come back to you right after this.
When you give to the New Life Scholarship Fund, you're giving someone hope for a brighter future.
I was kind of in the closet and hit with my struggle. Your donation really made the difference, especially in my situation, because I would up getting laid off from my job.
At the New Life Intensives, hurting people are able to begin a new path towards healing and freedom that has an effect on all of those around them.
I think the people who support New Life financially are people that I'll never know. You know, I'll never be able to thank them personally for the gift that they gave to us. Their giving saved me, my husband, and our family from being torn apart.
To help hurting people to connect to the help they need, make your gift to the Scholarship Fund at newlife.com or by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE and specifying scholarships.
Someone called and sponsored me to come this weekend. Whoever that is, just know that you saved a life. Literally, you saved my life.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found life recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. So glad that you're with us today. We are talking with Carol, whose sister is gone through a tremendous amount of loss. And Carol, how close do you live to your sister?
About 1,700 miles
Oh,
away.
that's, yes, a little bit more distance than what I thought. So, yeah.
Yes. Well, my older sister and I just got home from visiting her, and we are all very close.
Yeah.
We text, call, etc.
Yeah.
And Carol, where is your sister going to be living once she moves out?
She actually has moved to a retirement center. She dislikes the apartment. She complains people are using walkers, canes, and she feels she's not as old as those people.
So, well, I'm so sorry to hear this, Carol. I think when a person reaches a point where they make that decision, often for health reasons, to change their residence, it's a grieving process. Your sister is really grieving and panicking, not just over the loss of her dream home, but perhaps her dream life. that she's entering a new stage that most people don't really want to enter. And that means being, less independence and having to pare back and kind of winding down one's life to a more simpler state. And so I think that the panic, the anxiety, wanting to turn the clock back is her trying to, protest a bit in that she's entering this next stage of life. And she needs a lot of support in that. And acceptance and facing the reality that life has changed.
Yeah, it's a life stage transitions. There's different, we all have life stage transitions, getting married, having kids leaving the nest, right?
Yes.
Retirement. And this is one of the final life stage transitions here. And as Jill was talking about here, whenever we have loss, we go through the stages of grief. And now this is multiple losses because it's the home, it's health, it's the new stage. And really she's moving to this home and not with the hope of getting out of the home, but this is more the end stage here. And so it's normal that she goes through this sadness, but I love that you are connected with her and you want to support her. And so what I would say here, Carol, is just acknowledging the stage of grief that she's in, empathizing, validating, being emotionally supportive for her. It won't necessarily take away all of her pain, but I do think it sounds like she's depressed here too. And so seeing a counselor, seeing a psychiatrist, maybe could be the next step. Maybe there's medication that can help her in this moment.
Done that, but Carol's saying, sorry to interrupt, Mark,
go ahead.
but that she's not truthful.
Right.
And that's where I think we were hoping you lived a little closer and could maybe go with her to the psychiatrist or the therapist. And I know with therapists and psychiatrists, we can accept information. We can't acknowledge that we know the person, but we can accept information. So
meaning that she could contact, send an email,
send something, yes,
right,
and just share a little bit.
When you say that she's not truthful, what do you mean by that? What does she not tell, or what is she saying that is not true?
I maybe untruthful. It's not the correct word.
Okay.
I think she just withholds information and doesn't tell them what she tells us. And she has already contacted the realtor and asked the realtor to ask the buyer to let her out of the contract.
Oh, wow.
Even though she can't.
Yeah, and that's part of the bargaining stage of grief when we're panicking and it's like, well, how do I undo this, or the what ifs? So
exactly.
I think what Jill is saying is really good advice here. See if you can go along with her to her doctor's visit, to her counselor's visit.
Or to get information, because you were just there.
Right, and if she won't, then maybe you can send an email and let them know the reality of the situation.
Okay.
Or someone who lives closer, who's close to her.
She does have a good friend.
Maybe that friend would go with her, since she lives so far from you and you just got back. Well, and Carol, just to ask you, is your assessment that your sister is no longer capable of living in this home?
I believe she's no longer capable because her mental health situation affects her physical health to such an extent that she can't take care of the home.
Right, and she was living alone in the home?
Correct.
Yeah. So that's a hard reality to accept. So she's struggling with that acceptance.
Well, and I love, Carol, that you have such strong support for your sister, and that y'all are so close. And because I think to your point, Jill, she's going to need a lot of support through this process, and a lot of help with decision making as well.
Right.
And that's
and hearing her out as she processes the loss, not just quickly rushing to telling her reality, but hearing her out too.
And that's also where a good counselor or therapist comes into play as well, is they could tolerate what she has to say a lot better than sometimes a family member can, and also help guide this process. Carol, we're going to send you a copy of the Life Recovery Workbook for Grief, and maybe even send that along to your sister. And we thank you for your love for your sister. We'll be right back.
5 years ago, I had been in porn addiction, and I'd had a sexual relationship out of marriage.
Every day, men struggle with sexual integrity, impure thoughts, strip clubs, affairs, pornography. Find help today at New Life's Every Man's Battle Intensive.
It was the first time I'd ever divulged the sin that I had.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle Intensive.
I found a confidential comfort that was able to put a flame to a start of a healing process.
Now the intensive is coming to Dallas, Texas, December 6th through the 8th. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50.
Thank you, New Life. They're the redeemed, man. Thank you.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL. Club New Life changes lives.
I think I go way back to listening to New Life, learning so much from it, and then becoming a Club New Life member.
Club New Life is a monthly giving family that helps New Life Ministries provide Christ-centered hope and counseling resources to thousands of people.
You know, I'm so thankful because you know why I keep giving? Because I keep learning, and I'm so thankful for all the lives that you touch every day and the people's lives. So when I get to still hear the radio show, it's just so encouraging to my heart.
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, you'll make a difference in the lives of individuals and families with godly counsel and connection to help.
And you know one reason I give? Because I feel like sometimes I'm hiding behind a counselor's couch listening to all this great information and not paying, so my guilt of this great advice is alleviated by being a Club New Life member.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. And together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live, and I just want to send a shout out and a huge thank you for all of our financial supporters that allow us to do what we do best. One of them wrote this in, talking about how our ministry, how New Life Ministry has helped them in their life. It says, all of you at New Life have seen me through, instructed me through, coached, encouraged, counseled, led, and loved me through nightmarish experiences I never dreamt Christians would have to deal with in their lives. The resources you create and provide have helped not only to save this life, but I can now see the changes rippling out in other people. I live as a free woman, in love for the first time in my life with my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Always, New Life has been the voice carrying the message I needed to hear. We would love for you to join us in being part of life changes and life transformations that this giver has also experienced, and being part of New Life again. And whether it be a resource that has impacted you, one of our intensives, or other people, being a part of this is so exhilarating, to be honest, because of the lives that are changed. You can give online at newlife.com, or you can just give us a call, 1-800-NEW-LIFE, and give directly that way. We're going to go back to the calls. We're going to go to Brandon in Bend, Oregon, listening on Sirius XM. Brandon, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing okay. Thanks for asking. My reason for calling was my brother and I are struggling to figure out how to best care for our mother, who's in a nursing home. I think she's had some undiagnosed mental issues throughout her life, but now what we're finding is that we can be talking with her, kind of having a regular conversation, and she seems to be functioning well, but then all of a sudden it breaks to an imaginary world where she's, hallucinating about things she sees in the parking lot from her room, or things in her room, like her room's overcome with snakes, or things that are terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
And recently we took her to the hospital because she had a bladder infection, and she's kind of had those chronically because of her health in the facility she's in, and she's not ambulatory, and so I think that may have maybe played a role. And then also we went to a neurologist who doesn't know for sure, but thinks that she might have Lewy body dementia.
Oh yeah.
And so just last week we went back to the hospital, and they kept her for a while and got her seen professionally for a psych evaluation, and they decided that she could take some antipsychotic medicine, which I think is helping. It's taking the edge off, but it's still there. But like my brother and I, we'll get calls from her, from the facility, at all hours of the day. Like I got last week, one day, I think, when her mind was what I would think of as being on fire, just not letting her rest. I think between 12:45 a.m. and probably 5:30 a.m. I think I got 8 phone calls.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So her mind not allowing her to rest, and her mind not allowing you to rest either.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if you have any thoughts on how to best, care for her. She's in professional care, but we also try to have a relationship with her, and we realize maybe her body's winding down at some point.
Yeah.
Wow, this is hard, Brandon. It sounds like you guys are doing what you can. Is there something that you're thinking that you're missing being able to support your mom in, because she's in the nursing home, you're taking her to all of her appointments?
Well, that's part of the problem. My brother and I, we live quite a ways away, like 3 to 5 hour drive.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So getting to appointments is a challenge, and we've kind of been doing that, but I think we've kind of, and she appreciates that, and the appointments go better if we're there. But it's like a heroic effort to attend some of this stuff, especially if it's like one of the appointments we went to, the doctor last minute canceled.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man.
Do you and your brother live near each other?
No. We're kind of on opposite ends.
I was going to say, because if you moved your mom closer to you, that could help. But if you guys are opposite ways, then it sounds like she's in the middle.
Yeah, it's a giant triangle.
Yeah. Is it possible to move her closer to one of you? Do one of you have more capacity, more support with your family and your situation, your work situations?
Maybe I think it would be more disruptive to do that
in her
with
state.
The change, with the change, in one way she wants change, but in another way, she complains. She does not want to be moved from her room. She has her own room, which is kind of a miracle by itself, because technically she shouldn't.
Okay.
Yeah, well, and Brandon, it sounds like you have gotten the doctors on board, and everybody is looking at this. So and they're diagnosing her. I mean, usually first line, it's like, what medication is she on? Because often medication in older people create hallucinations. And also when people have infections, like bladder infections, that can also cause things. So that's, important to consider. But it does sound like they've come up with more severe diagnoses. I think you have to start thinking, okay, this is my mom winding down, as you are, and what do I want to have done for her and for myself when she passes? What do I want to be able in the end to say, I'm so glad we did that. I'm so glad we made the time, so that you're not looking back with regret. And maybe, I understand the distance is difficult. I don't know, in doctor's appointments, I don't know if they would allow you to Zoom in to the doctor's appointment.
Oh, that's a great idea.
And maybe that would be something you could do. Maybe doing FaceTime calls with your mom on a regular basis, checking in, and it sounds like you do do these things. And then periodically going in person, maybe having a regular cycle with you and your brother, so that she feels that love and support. And then if there are other people, family members that live closer, maybe enlist their help to support her and to be with her during some of these difficult times.
Are you feeling guilty, Brandon, that you might not be able to go as often?
Not really.
Okay.
Because I guess what I'm feeling more is like the level the past 2 weeks is required, as my brother and I don't feel like it's sustainable for us, and I think we're probably looking more for support just for us because we're kind of burnt out.
Yeah, it feels overwhelmed and feels burned out. So that's a great suggestion that Jill gave, is to be able to join via phone call, or maybe have a conversation with the doctor before or afterwards if it doesn't match up on your schedule. I think most physicians would be willing to do that.
Well, and it will oftentimes take a little bit more drastic measures. I had a client in a similar situation, and where it was a father who was struggling with dementia, and he would call like in the middle of the night 15 different times, and they had to put time restrictions on the phone and even get him a special phone on that so that you guys can get to sleep. Because I think one of the big challenges here, Brandon, is that as your mom is entering into this painful phase of her life, and it looks like the ending of her life, is being able to separate, because you asked, how do I relate to her? Well, it's almost impossible to relate to dementia. And so relating to the mental condition isn't really a thing other than just managing it. And so it's that ability to separate your mom and who she is apart from her mental illness or what she's struggling with at the moment. And I think because as you and your brother are entering into this early grief process, that it's Jill, I think you were saying, holding on to the memories of what she was and who she is, especially in her best moments, while doing the best that you can in your own limitations to manage what's going on here.
Well, and I'm glad you used that word grief, because I think that's important to recognize that you may start to go through the stages of grief now, even though your mom is around. Still.
Well, and to remember that maybe bringing up things from the past, stories, things that might elicit good memories for your mom, that long-term memory is usually more intact, and the short-term memory goes.
Good. Yeah. And the tricky thing with dementia is that reality, one moment to the next,
it changes.
It changes.
Yeah. Stories get conflated, mixed up.
And so, Brandon, we're giving you permission to have boundaries around the care. And knowing that she is in good care in the facility that she's in, do what you can. But again, as I oftentimes say, 2 sick people don't make one well. So being able to care for yourselves well. And we're going to send you a copy of the Life Recovery Bible, simply because I think it's a great resource. But I love the way that you and your brother are loving your mom and doing the best you can in this situation. We certainly commend you for that. We'll be back right after this.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for over 34 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family, or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step towards genuine spiritual and emotional healing, call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow. Call 1-800-639-5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. So glad that you're with us today. And if you're like me and you wait till the last minute and stress out over Christmas gifts, that is not necessary to do.
It's not.
Okay.
It's not. Because,
what do we do?
Because you can just go to newlife.com and look at all of the incredible books and resources that we have that would make a great holiday gift. And so, yeah.
Well, I do that with my family. I give them New Life books, and then they're all looking at me going, they've called me the passive-aggressive book giver because they're like, well, this is an issue we didn't know we had, but thank you. And I'm like, it's really great info.
My wife definitely needs loving and understanding a person with ADHD.
Yes.
So she is going to be getting that book for Christmas.
They're like, we got the journal on shame.
Oh, I love that. Well, in all seriousness, check
but they're
us out.
still great gifts.
Yes,
Don't let me deter you.
Yes. But we do have great devotional, great books, CDs. There's a lot of great gifts. And I know on my therapy team, they will be getting books this year. For
therapists
Christmas.
love books.
Yes, we do. Yep, we do. Well, we're going to go to a final call today. We're going to go to Avis in Auburn, California, who listens to us on KKLA. Avis, are you there?
No, you would do in your world.
Avis, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Great. I can now hear you. Yes. Well, tell us what's. Hi. What's going on? What's going on today?
I just plugged in. I was going to die. My phone was going to die. Not me, my phone.
Your phone.
Good.
Okay, don't die on us.
That would have been a really hardcore
that
for
would
us.
be that would not make for good radio.
Clear that up.
Excellent.
You know what? I can't tell you how much I love y'all.
Aw, thank you.
You have been there through the years. And today is the red letter day. My friend Karen Devers, who is a missionary to Indonesia and with the Muslims, is driving me right now.
Oh, excellent.
So cool.
My car is in the shop in Honda, replacing my side mirror on the right passenger side.
Uh-huh.
I was in hit and run.
Oh, man.
Wow.
On the way to a women's retreat with Mary Jane.
Uh-oh. Avis, we may have lost Avis.
Oh, no.
We thought you plugged in.
Yes. Well, hopefully.
At least we know what happened.
Yes.
Probably a phone died.
Yes.
Yeah.
Phone died, plugged in, came unplugged, but sorry.
But isn't it nice to have good friends to help you out?
Oh,
when
yes.
Oh, yeah.
your car goes awry and...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know what
and
else?
And Ava sounds full of life.
And you know what else it's good to have?
It's good to have those people who write us questions in. Well, we
it's
lose
good to
people
have
like
in
Avis.
callers. And so if you have an issue... I think we're going to get Avis back. Oh, yes. Avis.
I'm here.
Okay, good. We thought we lost you.
We got you back. Avis, how you doing?
The enemy doesn't want this phone call to go through.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's do this. Avis, tell us what's going on and how we can help you.
Okay, the main thing is this. I need healing from betrayal from some friends of mine in ministry that I love dearly. And I've tried everything possible to apologize, make things right, bring gifts, whatever I could do. And I've been rejected again this morning.
Oh.
And I was part of a Bible study with one of these women. The other one is part of a ministry that I was... and so this hurts deeply.
Yeah.
And the enemy has attacked my family. My husband and I have been at odds because our church is shattering in South County. Okay. We've been going to Calvary Chapel, Mission Viejo, and our church is being crushed. It's due to spiritual formation. Our pastor's wife has left the Calvary Chapel Dondra.
Yeah.
And it's
so Avis, let me jump in here. You said you'd mentioned that you want healing, and what do you need healing from, or healing for? Rejection. Yeah.
And being let down by my pastor and his wife.
Yeah.
And our whole pastor's team. They have rejected the truth of the gospel.
Yeah.
And I was able to confront them and meet with them and pray for them. And they're not changing their mind.
Yeah.
I know we can't control anyone. I know we can't change anyone. But it's hurt us deeply. And we're looking for other churches.
Yeah.
And my husband and son are back home in Rancho Santa Margarita. And they need healing. Because my husband told me in the midst of all this strife and pain, he told me he wanted to file for divorce. And we have been married 42 years.
Oh, wow.
I love him, and he loves me.
Yeah.
And I know it's an attack from the enemy. We have a 34-year-old son that I asked to move out.
Yeah.
And not because he's bad. He's a wonderful son. But because he needs to be independent of us. And we went to counseling about 2 months ago. And the counselor did not hear everything. But he thought he was done.
Your husband?
No, the counselor.
Oh, the counselor. The counselor thought he was done.
Yeah.
Like done.
He was done seeing you, or you guys were done seeing him?
Yeah, we were good. We were good to go.
Oh, okay.
It did not get to the heart of the matter.
Okay.
So before I left Rancho Santa Margarita, my husband said that he'd agreed to counseling again.
Oh, that's good.
And he'd also see a psychiatrist.
Okay. Well, let me jump in here because we only have a couple minutes left on the show because we want to give you some guidance in what's happening in your life. I think one of the things I'm hearing in the midst of all of this is that there's been a lot going on around you that's affecting what's happening inside of you. And so the chaos around us can create the chaos inside of us. And that's why I'd really recommend getting into some of your own counsel, some of your own work.
Because, Avis, it sounds like there's rejection at a lot of turns here that you've mentioned. And so what's going on? Sometimes we are contributing to our own sense of distance from people, and we don't recognize it. And I don't know if that's going on with you, but I think it's important always to look at our part and to look at whatever patterns that we are seeing. So to have someone that you could go and tell your whole story to and look at it from what you have control over and what you don't. But certainly you are getting a lot of rejections around you. And maybe it's because you're speaking up and it's things that people don't want to hear. Or maybe it's you not hearing what others have to say.
Well, and sometimes when we have a pattern of rejection, and I've had that pattern of rejection in my life, it's realizing that that's linked to a childhood wound.
Yes.
Right? And sometimes for me, I noticed that they were perceived rejections. And sometimes they were just... what I was feeling was greater than the situation should have elicited because I had that unhealed wound. So as I worked that out and I healed my wound, I was better able to manage those situations.
So healing is a process, and we need to enter into that journey.
Yeah. So if I could encourage you to, again, follow up what my wonderful co-host said and address the abandonment wound, the rejection wound going on inside of you, and definitely continue to seek healing in that. We're actually going to send you a copy of Laura McDonald's Heart Handbook. There are so many things that she writes in there that addresses these woundings of the heart. So, Avis, thank you so much for calling in today. Thank you all for being with us today. My lovely co-hosts, awesome hanging out with you as always. And until next time, be well.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Thanks for watching today. We love helping people. I hope you sense that. And we know that there's always hope if you find the right resource. Now, if something we've said to somebody else applies to you, that's fantastic. That's what we're hoping for. But also, if you want to join us directly, you can call 1-800-229-3000 between 1 and 3 Eastern Time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Those are the best times to get through. And while you're here on YouTube, check out these other videos that we've done to help people see where they could grow or a different path to take. And if you do that, would you give us a thumbs up on the video? And please subscribe to this channel. There are many ways that we can help you outside of the radio program, and it's very hard for some to pick up a phone and dial 1-800-NEW-LIFE. But when you do, we put you in touch with somebody who cares about you, knows all the resources out there, and they're going to find the best for you. There is no reason to struggle alone. I hope to see you tomorrow. Hope you'll invite somebody else to come and join that maybe needs just a little bit of help along the way. I'll see you next time.